4 o'clock
That's
in
like,
the morning.
we're filming Blended. She's like, you gotta go. I know it sounds crazy.
Yeah,
Sunrise is before.
She made me
Yeah.
going up here, and I said it. Not worse than I.
Killer.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, I've seen sunrises before. What's the big deal? No, you just.
Clarice blows.
Hey, got you. Got all of you.
Vom Bild ist nicht mein Zittern von der Kälte, sondern an das Gucken, weil er in meinem Arm liegt, wo ich die Kamera oben frei noch halten muss.
Ganz nebenbei, wir sind hier nicht alleine.
Sun poison.
Hey, Greg. Get some music back there. Come on, start something. No, not that music.
It's clear sky. My arms are getting, I don't know where the arms anymore. Kann man dann adjust?
22 Bilder haben wir noch.
Mach mal. Ja, doch nicht so Spaß.
Wow.
Lot, even if you hate to hike, this is the hike for hike haters, all right? To get away from the parking lot and away from the railings, go to the back of the parking lot, and on the left-hand side is a little roof. And there's a sign there for the start of, try this, Keone he. One more person's awake. Okay, that's Sliding Sands Trail, and it goes around the back of this hill, and then starts to dip down into that cinder slope. But even if you just go around the back of the hill and then stop before it starts to dip down, there's not much uphill and downhill. It's basically pretty flat, and it's just really nice to get away from the railings in the parking lot. Take you about 10 minutes at the most. That's for hiking. If you like to hike, continue on down Keonehe'ehe, and we've got 36 miles of hiking trail in the Crater District. We've got hiking maps if you're interested in that. Another short hike right here. If you go straight out this door up to the top of this hill, you get excellent views down into the Crater District and good views of the neighbor islands too, depending on what the clouds are doing by the time you get up there. Then when you're through in this area, drive out of the parking lot and turn left, and just a short drive up to the summit. You're almost to the top of the mountain. You might as well go visit. And in the center of the parking lot are some ahinahina. And I know some of you are looking for ahinahina, but you don't know it yet. You know what that is? Silver swords, yes. Ahinahina. It has a Hawaiian name, so we try to use that. But they're growing right in the center of the parking lot. You can get some nice close-up views and pictures. Also from the summit, you get, again, great views of the neighbor islands. Don't be tempted to go to the observatories because they're closed to the public. They're all outside of the park, unfortunately. And then when you're finished at the summit, you have to go back down the same road you came up. Next are 2 overlooks on the way down. Both of those different views into the area, both very nice. The next stop is Halemau Trail. From that trailhead to the crater rim here is a 1-mile hike. For those of you who kind of like to hike, it's really good because it's not as steep as this one is, and it goes through subalpine shrubland, as opposed to this, which is all the very barren, recent volcanic stuff. And I like that trail a lot. Take you only about an hour to do that 2-mile round trip. And again, different views into the craters, nice views into the clouds and to the north.
Is there a turn off there, or is it marked?
There's a sign for all of these turnoffs. Yeah, and you loop through the whole section. That's really great, but it will take you a whole day. Any questions about the Crater District here? Want to hear about volcanoes?
Yes.
Okay, a few of you do. Good. This is part 2. End of part 1. Begin awake. How are they formed? Volcanoes. Okay. Well, do you know how many Hawaiian islands there are? 8 with airports on them, right? What if you count all of them without airports on them?
200.
We've got almost that, 132 Hawaiian islands, and they stretch in a long chain from number 132, which you can see out the window over there, west, 1,500 miles across the Pacific Ocean, and you can see that over here. The main islands are down here, but there are lots of them going that way, and they end in a little thing up there called Kuri Atoll, administered by the federal government. So the state really only administers these here, even though it's technically part of the state. And actually all these islands here are part of the county of Honolulu. Of course, most Honolulu residents don't see that.
Are they all inhabited?
The only ones that have people on them are French Frigate Shoals, which has a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service station on it, because this is all the Northwest Hawaiian Islands National Wildlife Refuge. Lots of endangered birds and sea turtles and seals. Then on Kuri Atoll, that used to be a Coast Guard station, is being turned over to the Fish and Wildlife Service. And then, of course, Midway, those of you familiar with military history are familiar with Midway Island, and that has military installation on
Where is
it.
Midway on it? Is it on?
The Hawaiian Islands. You ready for this big scientific name? Geologists call it a hot spot. Good name. 2,000-degree lava bubbling to the surface, making an island. Now, there's something else we know about this hot spot, is that it never moves. It's always over there. It's always been over there. So how do you get a Kuri Atoll 1,500 miles over there?
Strong currents.
Strong currents. Very strong currents.
The islands move.
The islands move. You're right, they do. Can you feel this moving now?
Tectonic shift?
Tectonic shifts? Yeah, exactly. Now, for those of you who are completely lost, I'll back up and we'll let you catch up with us. Plates, yep, that's all part of it. But let's go back to the planet Earth floating out here in space. Is it all completely solid? No, it's kind of liquid on the inside. And what's that liquid?
Ocean.
Magma, lava, exactly. The oceans are real light. They're floating on top of that. The rock's so heavy it's down underneath. But it's more like an egg, and it's got a thin, hard shell, and then liquid on the inside. But this egg shell is broken up into pieces, and the pieces we call plates, exactly. Now the plate that we're riding on now is named after the ocean that you flew over to get here. I hope you were awake enough to remember. Okay, good. Pacific Plate, another person's awake. Magma. So if something is floating, is it going to stay in exactly the same place all the time? No. Is anyone from California?
Yes. Yeah.
You're at the edge of the Pacific Plate, right? Do you ever feel it moving? But you come out here, luckily, and you don't feel anything moving. But if you can feel your hair growing, you can feel us moving, because that's about how fast we're moving, about 4 to 6 inches a year. Now, which way are we moving? if the islands start over there, that's the youngest one, by the way. Hawaii is the youngest island. And Kuri Atoll is the oldest island. Which way are we moving? East to west, southeast to northwest? All right, you're saying we're moving this way?
That way.
Youngest to oldest. Boy, big argument here. Okay, all the islands start over there. So they have to, they end up over there. So we are moving 4 to 6 inches a year to the northwest. So come back in a year, don't cut your hair, put it down on the ground. That's about how far we've moved in that year. All right. Now, and it took us only about 500,000 years for Haleakala to reach its greatest height. And since I'm talking about Haleakala, those of you in the back will be looking out the window. Why don't you all get close around the window here so we can see. But we do have a picture of that. An even better picture of it. You're right, though. Right over there. The big island of Hawaii. Remember, they all have the same life cycle. And that's about much what Haleakala looked like about 500,000 years ago. Sorry, I'm being distracted by somebody standing where they shouldn't be. But anyway, don't do that, by the way. On the left-hand side, Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa, much what Haleakala would have looked like about 500,000 years ago. But something happened at that point to change that whole picture. Something happened that made us lose our top 3,000 to 4,000 feet. Remember, we were moving away from the source of lava, and the pipes broke. So what took over if we weren't getting bigger anymore? Erosion. Yeah, so where is the top 3,000 to 4,000 feet of Haleakala? Spread out all around, mostly in the ocean. It's gone. It's all down into the ocean, and some of it's on the flanks of the mountains. And there were 2 great valleys that ate away that top of the mountain. One of them you can see quite plainly out there to the left. One of them is harder to see, but it's at the other end, and you can kind of see the angle going down there. But these 2 great valleys were offset and ate away the top of the mountain. But if you look over to the valley to the left, it doesn't
Didn't you say you can go further up the top?
Drive up,
Yeah.